My dear sisters and brothers, today the church places before us the last ordinary Sunday of the church year. And the coming Sunday, we celebrate the feast of Christ, the universal King. He is the King of kings. He is the Lord of lords. His name is Jesus, 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 oh. He is the, one more time. He is the King of kings. He is the Lord of lords. His name is Jesus, 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 oh, He is the King. In our liturgy, we are reminded not just of the end of the liturgical year, but of the end of all things and the preparations we need to make. The Bible tells us that we're all created in the image and likeness of God. And He has placed on us multiple gifts and blessings. What has He placed on us? And He expects us to utilize these blessings for His kingdom and for His people, and also to develop the talents He has given to us. Some Saturday evenings, I watch the Fame virtual party on TV. They bring it on RETV. And while I'm sitting there watching the DJs spin the tunes, sometimes I'm shaking my legs, and dancing to the music. And then they have this group there called Dance Expression. And you should see them going through the paces and how talented people are in terms of how they express themselves with all the dancing and so on. Just so beautiful. And the DJs, and the way they select the songs and so on is just so wonderful. They just draw you into that mood that you want to dance and you want to be a part of the whole affair. Amen? So much talent, my dear sisters and brothers. So much to be a part of. And so the coming of the Lord will take into account all that we have done. What will be taken into account? The book of Proverbs speaks eloquently of the qualities of a worthy wife who bears fruit, and she never sits idle, using every opportunity to create wealth for the family. My dear sisters and brothers, the passage also emphasizes the industriousness and the diligence of the good wife, who is busy with the usual matters, skilled at her work in caring for the family and in also caring for the poor. St. Paul says to us in the second reading, he reminds us that the Christians must be the Christians of the unexpected but certain coming of the day of the Lord. He says that that day will strike like a sudden disaster on people's lives. And so what is fundamentally important is that you and I be prepared and ready. Christians have been forewarned and are to stay alert and sober and not to remain asleep at this special moment. Amen? Be alert. In Matthew's gospel, my dear sisters and brothers, he focuses more sharply on the Christian attitude towards life as we live in expectation of the Master's return. The implicit responsibility of each disciple is to work and multiply the talents entrusted to him or her. It is not enough to just preserve what one has been given. We are meant to share that talent with each other and to share that talent for the community. Let us listen to a story now, my dear sisters and brothers. One day, a man was walking along the shore. As he looked down the beach, he saw a young person reaching down to the sand, picking up something and very gently throwing it back into the sea. As he got closer, he called out, "Good morning. What are you doing?" The young person paused, looked up, and replied, "Throwing starfish into the sea." "Why are you throwing starfish into the sea?" he asked. "The sun is up and the tide is going out. If I don't throw them in, they'll die." "But you don't realize that there are miles of beach here and the starfish are all along it? You can't possibly make a difference." The young person listened politely, then knelt down, picked up another starfish, and threw it into the sea, past the breaking waves, and said, "Made a difference to this one." Sometimes, my dear sisters and brothers, some task can seem pretty overwhelming. Sometimes we can have certain tasks that are insurmountable. But as the expression says to us, 1,000 mile begins with? 1,000 mile begins with? One step. So when you find yourselves with things that seems overwhelming, when you find yourselves in situation, recognize that you need to start somewhere, okay? You must begin. Instead of scratching your head and worrying and moving on, getting on crazy, focus and do one thing at a time. The beach was filled with starfish, and this young man kept taking up them one by one and putting them back into the sea. It's the little things that we do that are important. Amen? Not the spectacular. It's the little things, my dear sisters and brothers, that truly warms the heart. If indeed you're unable to buy your wife or spouse the car that she would like, or to take her on a particular vacation, can't you bring her chocolate? Can't you bring her flowers? Can't you buy her a bottle of wine? Wouldn't that make a difference, Annalisa? Kevin? You see, sometimes we think we have to do something big to make a big impression. And if you can't do the big thing, then you feel as if you haven't done anything. Isn't that so? But it's the little things, my dear sisters and brothers, that matter. Whatsoever you do to the least of my people, you do unto me. Amen? And so, step by step, brick by brick, little by little, you can make a difference with what God has given to you. It doesn't have to be anything spectacular. And so the parable of today presents us with 4 important lessons. It tells us that God gives each person different gifts. What does it tell us? And that together we can make something beautiful for God. What can we do? And so the talent that you have been given is not meant for you to compare it with other persons. Because when you compare your talent with other persons, you're going to come up short. Because you're going to think that your talent is not as good or as important as the other person. God has given you that talent for you to utilize it to enrich the Christian community. Amen? And that is what you must set out to do. Not compare yourself with others. Amen? And so, my dear sisters and brothers, this is a challenge. So in spite of our tendencies always to compare ourselves with others, the actual number and quality is not important. We're only asked to make full use of what we have been given. What are we supposed to do? Make full use of what we have been given and to use them for the benefit of the community as a whole. You know, sometimes we shy away from so many things. Sometimes you ask people to do something and they say, "Oh gosh, no, Father, not me at all." You know, sometimes if you want some Catholic Christians to shy away, ask them to pray. "Me, Father? Me can't pray." Really? The same way that you talk to your friends, you can use the same language to talk to God. Amen? The same language. That is prayer. And so do not be afraid. Step forward and be bold. The love in your heart was not put there to stay, but to be given away. Say that with me. The love in your heart was not put there to stay, but to be given away. And so even if your talent is only to sweep the yard or to pick up garbage, do it to the best of your ability. Amen? And so we're only asked to make full use of what we have been given uniquely and to use them for the benefit of the community as a whole. Don't worry about what other persons say. What God has given to you, He has given to you. And so when everyone does that, the community is enriched. Second, our work is never complete. The first two servants showed how much they earned. They were not told to sit back and rest. Rather, because of their trustworthiness, even greater responsibilities were given to them. And so you see it happening in churches and in other groups where you have persons who are willing and cooperative. Usually you find these persons having a lot to do because they're the ones who come forward and are willing to work and to do, while you'll have some who stay on the sideline and only criticize. But the truth is, the ones who are willing and cooperative, these are the ones who usually have a lot of responsibility. Isn't that so? This is what happens in church. You have very few who are very involved, and it happens everywhere. That's the nature of life, my dear sisters and brothers. But what is important is that you are utilizing the gift that God has given to you. So the more one has, the more one will be given. Third, the man with the one talent did not lose it. He did not do anything at all with it. If he had tried and failed, he would have met compassion and forgiveness. So even the person with one miserable talent has something to offer others. It is a sober warning that it is not just those who do evil deeds who will lose out, but also those who have no positively good works to show for it. Every person has the responsibility to be active in the kingdom. Who has the responsibility to be active? Everybody. Every single person. It is our work to go on mission and to do mission. To the one who has more will be given. From the one who has not, even what he has will be taken away. Jesus is saying that those who share generously the gifts they have been given are likely to find themselves enriched. How will they find themselves? Enriched. Those who jealously preserve what they have and hoard it and go into their shell in the fear of the outside world are likely to shrivel up and die. So, my dear sisters and brothers, don't hoard your gifts. Don't hide it. Don't shelve it in the face of fear. Otherwise, you will shrivel up. I think we are our best selves when we are giving. Isn't that so? You feel more satisfied and happy and fulfilled when you are giving, when you are sharing. But when you hold on and you're tight, there's a different feeling, my dear sisters and brothers. It says we become shrivel up and we die. Those who save their lives will lose it. Those who share generously what they have with others will find themselves immeasurably enriched. How will you find yourselves? Immeasurably. So what are we supposed to do with our talents and our gifts? Share them. Let them utilize them for the benefit of all. So when somebody approaches you, when the priest approaches you and so on, ask you to do something, he's not trying to embarrass you. He's calling you to share what God has given to you. Amen? And it's amazing, my dear sisters and brothers, sometimes when you invite persons to do certain things, it's amazing the kind of light that they bring when they begin to share and to enter into their gifts and talents. They even discover certain gifts that they didn't know that they had. And so, do not be afraid. God is with you. Amen? And what he has given you, he will enhance it and make it work for the kingdom. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little